What does Africa have to do with any of that nonsense? Why are you bringing us into this nonsense of yours? See, I'm getting really sick and tired of all this stupid nonsense of some Americans shaping and influencing the idea of Christianity being perceived by the rest of the world as some kind of a freak show.
For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus.
Okay. Alright, this is going to be a reaction video, but I'm not actually reacting to an actual video. I'm just going to comment about something.
Strike and 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 strike.
That has been trending very recently. A video of Paula White on the US elections, and she's going in talking about how she would like angels from Africa, angels from South America, and all kinds of places to come down to earth to make sure that President Trump wins the election. I'm a little bit speechless because I don't actually really know what to say about that. There are a lot of things I could say. I just don't know how to phrase it. I don't know how to say it right. But I definitely know how to feel about that. But that's besides the point. Because I don't really care about her status in this world or what you know about her. But what I do care about is when you start to include the Bible or talk about God, talk about angels. As a matter of fact, when you start to seemingly represent Christianity in a certain way that sends out a certain message to people about what Christianity is about, then we've got something to talk about. Not only that, what really irritates me is the fact that I don't know why people think Africa is a charity case. Africa is a continent that needs to be used in stupid examples like this. God summoned angels from Africa to discharge themselves of whatever duties, divine order of their See, I'm really struggling to phrase this conversation properly. Who? So let me get it straight. If angels were physical beings that could be called upon to leave their duties to go to America in all that's going on in Africa and our politics and our crazy issues and all the starving children and the flies that are just lingering over their faces while someone takes a picture of that or video of that. So leave all of that and go to America to make sure that...
Why the hell didn't he tell me that before I put him in?
Wow. Wow, Paula White. Really, wow. Now, I'm not going to take a dig into her theatrics because there are a lot of theatrics that she was displaying here and there. Her style of, I don't know, was she preaching? Was she praying? Was she... Is that like some kind of American exorcist style of summoning angels? What is she doing? What was that? I've seen a lot of people reacting to that. I've seen Lecrae tweeting something about that, and some people weren't happy about it, which shows you that she has a fan club. She's got a following. I'm seeing videos as I'm scrolling through YouTube. There's some people talking about the Breakfast Club. They have a video about that. I haven't watched those videos, but I'm just seeing that it started to trend. So I listened to it a little bit and I watched it. You know, it was really awkward and weird to say the least. But like I said, I could say a lot. I just don't know how to phrase it right. But I know how I feel about it. I got a serious problem when somebody steps up and starts talking about Africa. God summoned angels from Africa. I see a victory. What victory? Does that have to do with salvation? Does that have to do with saving people's souls? Does that have to do with the gospel and God's intention of the gospel? Why did God desire to have a relationship with people? What is the gospel? What does the gospel have to do with Donald Trump or Joe Biden, for that matter? American politics. What does it have to do with people's policies? What does Africa have to do with any of that nonsense? Why are you bringing us into this nonsense of yours? See, I'm getting really sick and tired of all this stupid nonsense of some Americans shaping and influencing the idea of Christianity being perceived by the rest of the world as some kind of a freak show. That's right. Y'all make us look like a freak show. I'm not kidding. And I'm not talking about every American. I'm not talking about every theologian out there. I'm not talking about... Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there aren't some weirdos out there. When I say weirdos, I'm talking about some false prophets, some dudes running around, scamming people of their monies, claiming to be prophets, performing miracles and all that nonsense. But hey, if Benny Hinn can do it, why can't I do it, right? There's a lot of clowning around out there. And one of the reasons why I started the Jesus culture is to set the record straight with a couple of things here and there. See, I don't like how some of you bring politics into Christianity, or how you mingle Christianity and politics together, almost as though God knows which party you're affiliated with, or he cares about which party you're affiliated with. I've seen some of you YouTubers, or so-called Christian YouTubers, talking about how the Republican Party upholds godly principles and the Democratic Party doesn't hold godly principles, or it's on the opposite side and all that nonsense. Maybe it's because of gay marriage rights, how a lot of people seem to be pushing for gay policies or other policies that you deem unchristian, and how certain individuals in the Republican Party seem to be pushing a different agenda. Maybe it's a Christian-related agenda. I always think if I was an American, personally, if I was an American, it would be weird because I would not know how to navigate that. How do you relate Christianity, or how do you relate policies with the gospel or your faith or your matters of faith? How do you navigate that space? Let's use abortion, for instance. A simple, delicate subject. That is simple, really. It's not really that complicated. Most Christians, if not all, wish it was all, but most Christians would tell you that abortion does not uphold God's principles, or biblical principles for that matter. Most Christians, not all Christians. But does that mean that there isn't a situation where abortion is necessary? Of course not. There are some situations where abortion may be necessary for medical reasons or purposes, or raise life-threatening to the career of the child. A difficult space to navigate. But does that mean that therefore everybody can just go ahead and abort? Of course not. What is the intention? What is the motive? A lot of question marks have to be questioned. That's when it gets complicated. The circumstances always complicate a subject matter where discretion has to be used. But I see how politics play around subjects like that. How people try to get in there using politics. How people try to attach and connotate God into their politics. Almost as though God is affiliated with a party of some sort. Listen, God doesn't know your borders, your race. I mean, he knows. He just doesn't work like that. Okay? If God had to deploy angels, he doesn't know anything called such as latitude, such as boundary, such as this country or that country. He's a God for all people. He's a Jesus for all people. God reigns supreme. The earth is his, not the country, not these specific people. At least that's how it was with the Israelites. But what do we learn from the Bible? We learn that he was a God of the Israelites, but grace is inclusive. So therefore, God's grace has no boundaries. It has no borders. So what are you talking about? Angels from Africa, angels from here and there, angels from this country and that country, angels from this dominion. So God deployed angels from one specific area to another specific area. Why? Why would he do that? What is so special about this event that All of life must just stop, specifically for this event. For who? Donald Trump? Joe Biden? For what reason? How do you theologically explain that? I'm really keen and interested in finding out about that. You want to quote something on the Old Testament about kings and God, how God anoints kings and all that? Oh, really? That's really interesting. So if anybody is in a position of leadership of some sort, therefore he's an anointed person by God. So was Hitler anointed by God? Or do you pick and choose which instance God anoints a certain individual to rule a certain country or a certain place for that matter? What is the gospel about? It's really funny, interesting. I made a video very recently talking about how people are protesting all the crazy nonsense that's going on in this world, and how Christians are so absent. Certain Christians are so absent from everything that was going on. You talk about Black Lives Matter. It's like you set the world on fire. You talk about social justice. It's like you set the world on fire. How do you go from talking about that is simple as addressing an injustice, to painting it with some kind of a color, to politicizing it, when you're supposed to be the one who's addressing an injustice? Jesus addressed an injustice. God addressed injustices in the Bible. He didn't step on the side and say, well, that's your style. That's what you're all about. So if you don't know how to make the right noise, the godly way, then the whole world will start making noise in their own way. I don't care if they're affiliating themselves with which party, but when you forget your godly responsibilities in this world, that is when the world will show you how it's done. You may not like the way they do it. So if you don't like the way they do it, why are you stepping on the side? Why are you chanting from the sidelines? Why aren't you out there addressing every injustice that's going on? You may disagree with maybe the Black Lives Matter movement or whoever out there, but what are you doing that's better? Why aren't you showing the rest of the world about how this is how we protest? This is how we stand by your side, but this is how we ought to do it. Lead from the front, not the sidelines. Lead like Christians. Lead like Jesus. Lead like God. But no, you're too busy being political about all this nonsense that's going on in this world. Being an American, that's flaunting how they can sort of get in there and get a little remix going on like they're Jay-Z, modern day psalmist of some sort, while the rest of the world just looking at you, mocking you. You're making us look bad. I'm serious, you're making us look bad. Some of us have to make some of these videos, have to create YouTube channels, have to be apologists, as some might say, because a lot of people mess up in this world. You don't only screw up biblically, but you screw up politically. You screw up systematically. Africa is messed up right now because of weird, crazy, selfish. There's a lot of words I could use. Africa is screwed up right now because of politics. Africa is screwed up right now because of the very same systems that you're praying for and about, that you think God cares about. So let's get something straight. Jesus is not a politician. As a matter of fact, God doesn't care about your politics. He cares about your soul. That's what the gospel is about. The gospel is inclusive. God came to be inclusive for everybody. Whatever happens under the sun, that will be determined by the choices that you make. So if you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about voting and what determines who becomes a president, that will be determined by the systematic policies, the systematic order that has been set. Whatever legislative order, whatever is bounded by the laws of this world, will determine who is the president. So, it's not going to be the angels, and they most certainly are not going to come from Africa. Because if angels were physical beings who could tell you a thing or two in response to you, they'd tell you, you can't afford us. I can guarantee you that. Just like I can't afford to keep on talking about this nonsense, this rhetoric, this absolute crazed madness about angels being deployed from Africa. Like, who then, man? Who? This is ridiculous. It's absolute ridiculous. I'm just going off the dome. The gospel was meant to save us, to free us, to deculturalize us from the very systems and thinking patterns of this world that divide us instead of unifying us. So stop bringing politics into Christianity. Stop painting Christianity with political colors and flavors and nuance. Stop bringing Jesus into your policies. I have no problem with talking about God. Concerning politics, what I'm saying is stop confusing your own policies to be that which represents God's agenda, because it does not. The two do not go together at all. You want to preach the gospel? Preach the gospel. You want to talk about the Bible? Let's get biblical. Truth over tradition. That's what the Jesus culture is about. So Paula White, just knock it off. Oh, and one more thing. If any of you televangelists out there in America or anywhere else in Africa or wherever, anybody else is thinking of doing a remix with Paula White or doing likewise, man, get the heck out of here.